Ngayon, dito sa usapin ng jurisdiction, sino ba within the political system that was given power in order to evaluate jurisdictional issue? It is the Supreme Court. Doon natin binigay yung sovereignty natin, no? Again, you have to interpret sovereignty in a political manner. So, sovereignty emanates from the people, and then the people actually handed over their sovereign will to three branches of government. One is an executive, the other is a legislative, and the other is the judiciary. So, dito sa issue na ito ng kay PRRD, this is a concerns jurisdictional issue. So, kung kayong taong bayan, pinaubaya ninyo sa judiciary ang pagdetermina ng mga jurisdictional issue, kasi hindi yung ginampanan ng judiciary dahil itong executive ay talagang nagtaapura, natanggalin dito si PRRD sa Pilipinas, dalhin siya sa daig, hindi na madesisyonan ng jurisdictional issue at ganito. So what happens? It's a violation of sovereignty. Because the people, the sovereign will of the people was not actually fulfilled. The sovereign will of the people, according to our system, is divided into three. One is in the branch of executive, legislative, and judiciary. The judiciary will have to determine jurisdictional issue na ikaw ang Pilipino ka, ipapa-exile ka, dadalhin ka sa ibang bansa, ganyan. They have to decide. It's not the executive that will have to decide that because that is not where the sovereign will of the people granted the power to decide jurisdictional issue.
Ayan, at kasama natin sa backstage na din ang ating ka-moisture na hindi maiakyat. Ayun, ayan, hello. Binibining sas, rogando sas.
Hello mga ka-moisture.
Nakakaloka yung
Puyatan na naman tayo.
Nakakaloka yung, yung ikaw yung dinimanda ni Shelo, pero siya yung nagvo-violate ng Safe Spaces Act sa'yo, like, consistently.
Consistently ba siya?
Parang tama. Oo. Diba ilabas kanya ng sinabi ng walang matres, ito yung ganon, ilabas beses siya nag-post. Ikaw kasi hindi ka naman nagre-react pag gano'n. I don't care.
Hindi ba isang beses lang niya ginawa yun?
Lagi niya ginagawa. Ano ba?
Meron kayong screenshot?
Hanapin ko. Di ba ilabas kanya nagpalitan?
Sa mga isang beses lang.
Sa mga comments. Doon.
Sa mga comments.
Sa mga comments ng post niya. Oo. Doon.
Well, ako naman ay Diyos ko naman, yun yung panakot nyo. Yun yung panakot nila, di ba? Papawi ka na. Bakla, that's satire.
True.
Ano yung paabuti nyo ng saan nyo pa papaabuti?
Malala na dito. Alam mo ba, may nag-tip sa akin, ganun, na, bine-verify na nila yung address mo, ganyan. Sa akin, bine-verify na nila yung address mo, ganyan. Kinembot. Sa akin naman, check na nga nila yung bank account ko eh.
Paano mo nalaman?
Yung inaamla-amla nga.
Paano nalaman?
Kinontak ako ng bangko. Immediately after, di ba speech, yung nagsalita-salita na sila, chinek niyan, I think February yata, or February yun nung in-email ako ng bangko. Pero yung chinecheck nila na transaction happened in December. Di ba December 16, yun yung time na in order ni Congressman Barbers na yung AMLA, NBI, PNP Cybercrime na i-profile daw yung mga malicious vloggers.
Alam mo, siguro naman Joey, nabasa mo yung pinadala ko sa group chat, di ba? Kung totoo na nila yan, alam mo na yung exit mo, no? Alam mo na. Kung lang sabihin, pero yun na yun, no? Dahil ang ginagawa nila is violation of international law. And sinabi ko na dun sa group chat, in order for you to get protection of international law, you have to be international.
True. You have to be international.
You have to be cosmological. Ako, under the protection of the cosmological law because I'm a cosmological.
Under the protection of the cosmos.
Hindi nga. Kasi nga, isa sa mga international law courses ko noon is international human rights. Nakwento ko na ito sa inyo before, I think. So, ang professor ko pa noon is prosecutor siya sa ICTY, so International Criminal Tribunal on Yugoslavia. Prosecutor talaga siya doon, so sikat siyang prosecutor. So madalas kami talo kasi siya yung very idealistic sa human rights, charva, no? Ako yung pating devil's advocate. Tapos naging very high profile talaga yung professor ko na yun. Naging ano pa siya, isa sa mga nagsulat nung report on crimes against humanity in Syria. Ganung level. Na ako talaga yung kino-question ko talaga siya. Kaya, I mean, nagtatalo kami. He appreciates it, no? Kaya nga pag may mga controversial topic, ako o kayang, well, may mga, ang isa sa mga course requirement namin nun is, we have to defend a particular controversial human rights issue. So, hindi kanya bibigyan ng hindi kanya bibigyan ng defend the rights of the workers. Yung mga ganyan, hindi ganyan. Walang ganon. Yung bibigyan ka talaga niya ng, ang topic talaga is yung mahirap na mahirap. Ang binigay niya sa akin yung pinakamahirap. Binigay niya sa akin, defend the torture, defend torture. Ganyan. Sabi ko talaga, ganun ba? Next talaga nilapitan talaga niya ako after ng presentation ko. Sabi niya sa akin, you are so convincing. Kasi nga, alam mo yung sabi niya na parang, alam mo yun, you're so convincing, ganyan. Kaya A ako doon. A ako sa kanyang course. Kaya imagine, defend ko ang torture na, madali lang naman kasi, no? Kasi nga, ang defense ko kasi noon, kailangan may torture warrant. Tapos kailangan yung torture. Kasi sa human rights kasi merong tinatawag na proportionality. So, dinefend ko siya ng proportional on the basis of proportionality. Alam niyo yung taking time bomb situation, di ba? Do you actually know that? If there is a taking time bomb situation and the only way that you could extract information is from this individual and the individual is unwilling, then you can actually use extra interrogation tactics kasi sa international law.
Which includes
kasi international. Hindi, ang kasi nito, ang base kasi ito international law. Kasi international, ang laki ng threshold. Bakla kahit sabihin mo lang dun sa tao na kung hindi mo sasabihin sa amin, pipingutin kita, that's torture.
Bawal.
Under international law. That's torture under international law. Ganun kataas. So ngayon, sabi ko, mataas yung threshold. So sabi ko, proportional. Tapos may torture warrant. Tapos in the presence of psychologists, ganyan. So dapat so may torture warrant ka from a judge.
Your job is for it to reach a level of acceptability, ganon.
You could defend it within the threshold of the Convention on Torture. Broad kasi yun.
Hirap ng assignment.
Yeah. So, ang ko noon, ang sabi ko kasi noon, una-una, the problem with torture is that it exists outside the rule of law. So now we have to include it within the rule of law. That's why I'm recommending a torture warrant. So before police can employ extra interrogation tactics, he has to get a warrant from a judge that this is necessary and proportional, and then the judge would approve what kind of extra interrogation tactics that could be employed. Ganyan. Na para tapos kailangan least harm. So parang ibig sabihin nun, so yun yung test of proportionality. Ibig sabihin ng least harm. Syempre hindi mo ibibitin ng patiwarik yan. Dahil nga least harm nga the least harm that you could extract the information that you need. Pero very selective yung defense ko noon, dapat very yun nga, test of necessity, dapat hindi siya general na yung application. It only applies when the life that has to be saved, may balance of kasi kung halimbawa ito-torture mo ba yan pag ayaw mo bigay ng information about something. Ang ko noon is we have to balance the right to life of the victim and the right against torture of the suspect. Pag yung suspect kung yung suspect, so yun nga you're gonna put it within the realm of rule of law, ano yung evidence, ano bang level of evidence, sabi ko kailangan may convincing. So meron akong threshold, tinataas ako yung threshold na kailangan merong convincing, hindi probable, actually hindi nga probable cause dapat merong preponderance of evidence.
That you have to, may imminent danger hindi
lang yun ang ko, dapat yung suspect na would be subjected to extra interrogation tactics, there must be a lower than probable cause yung threshold ko. Reasonable possibility.
Reasonable cause yung pang good father of a family na test.
Yes, reasonable cause.
Mas mababa dun sa
reasonable cause that this suspect knows the information that you need in order to actually save a life. Actually, ang inano ko nga nun it will only be limited when you have to be able to save a life. Halimbawa, kidnapping victim, na may threat ng murder, ticking time bomb situation, na merong ganyan.
And
so
that
hindi
person
siya
would be in the position to
give the information kasi may suspect siya. Talaga alam mo yun, naloka siya. Kasi sabi ko, nasa rule of law ka na, nasa ano ka na, well, hindi mo naman siya pwedeng i-apply ng ano. Sabi ko, kasi ginagawa naman kasi talaga siya ng mga police. Kaso, the police has to save a life. Paano kung yun lang yung way in order to extract that information, wouldn't you do it? Ngayon, kailangan lang natin siyang gawa na within the framework of the rule of law. Ito ang mga threshold na dapat mapatukan. So, kasi every start kasi ng presentation, magtataas ng kamay yung mga estudyante na before pa magsimula yung presentation, natatanungin ng professor, who among you agree with the proposition that torture should be legalized? Walang tumantaas ng kamay. Bakla, pagkatapos ng presentation.
May nanalo na!
Kaya talaga, naloka siya. Kasi nga usually ang sasabihin, hindi ticking time bomb. Ako talaga kompleto, bakla, pati rules of evidence, ganyan. At kung anik-anik pa, so hindi lang siya yung usual na ticking time bomb situation. Sabi ko, no, hindi lang yan. O kailangan in the presence of psychologists yung gagawing para kung if the harm is already exceeding what could be tolerated, that the person would not go insane, papatigilin ng medical supervision.
May nanalo na! Ayan.
Kaya na ngayon, ito, ano yan? Go.
Sige, go. And naalala mo yung, di ba sabi ko sa'yo before, ang tawag dito, isa sa mga pinaka-problematic na approach sa, well, this is slightly different doon sa sinasabi mo. No? Yung isa sa mga pinaka-problematic na approach sa international relations is when lawyers start to talk about international law and international relations. Kasi yung approach nila it's confined doon sa doon sa very structured na framework sa, let's say, Philippine jurisdiction, ganon. So hindi nila ma-separate yung complexities ng international relations and international law vis-a-vis yung very structured and very rigid na application ng domestic laws. Yung professor ko nung sa law school na interview ni Ted Filon. Remember yung sinasabi ko sa'yo na sabi ko gano'n, bakla, yung teacher ko sa international, hindi ko talaga siya maintindihan. Tapos in-interview sa Ted Filon bilang expert. Pagkatapos, ang tawag dito na, kaysa di ba sabi ko yun, nung binabasa ko yung mga explanation mo on yung different laws, yung mga jurisprudence interpreting international law, yung how they appreciate yung certain legal concept and apply it on international disputes, ganyan. Sabi ko, mas appreciate ko to kasi turo nung prof ko. In-interview siya ni Ted Filon. Yung tungkol to sa arrest, yung sovereignty, sabi gano'n. Sinuko na raw ng, hindi raw sinuko ng Pilipinas ang sovereignty niya. Dahil sa nakuha lang daw nila si PRRD. And offered no explanation whatsoever tungkol doon sa yung pag-dismiss doon sa mga provisions ng Constitution vis-a-vis yung Rome Statute. And would argue on harmonization. So, sobrang nagulat talaga. Sabi ko, actually, ang sobrang disappointing at sabi ko nga, sa totoo lang, yung mga lawyers dito sa Pilipinas, gusto ko talagang duraan sa mukha every time they say that we have to interpret yung Rome Statute at saka yung domestic laws ng hindi siya same. Sabi nilang gano'n. And ang nakakabisit doon kasi, actually harmonized yung ICC, yung Rome Statute at saka yung Philippine laws. And they kept on saying na hindi magkaiba kasi siya ganyan. Actually wala siyang you can interpret both in harmony.
Saka hindi mo po pwedeng sabihin magkaiba siya and then that's it. Pag magkaiba, you have to harmonize. Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na magkaiba kasi siya. Bakla, kung magkaiba siya, you have to harmonize. So what is now your harmonization ng dalawang ito? Assuming for the sake of argument na may conflict nga silang dalawa. Hindi ba? So that's it. Assuming. So, yun yung eksena doon. Continue, girl, kung anong sinabi niya.
Oo. So may parang sinasabi nga nila, okay, kailangan kasing mag-harmonize, ganyan. Kasi tapos hindi mo naman kasi yan ini-interpret separately, ganun. And sabi ko kasi naging teacher ko nga siya. So, sabi ko, madam, ang harmonization rules, okay, sa statutory construction is that if there are two laws that are applicable on certain issues, the first thing that you have to do is to really harmonize it, 'di ba? Na i-interpret mo siya in such a way na dapat kino-complement nila yung isa't isa. Now, you're just going to apply exception to the rule if you can find any provision that is repugnant to each other. Eh ano yung repugnant dun sa Rome Statute at saka dun sa RA 9851? Wala naman. Walang repugnant.
Ano pa niya nun is sovereignty is not a legal, it's not a purely legal issue. It is essentially a political issue, sovereignty. So yun pa yung mali niya noon. Ngayon, if it is a sovereignty is a political issue, now ang tanong doon, yung tanong na we surrender our sovereignty by actually surrendering PR as citizen of Filipino citizens to a foreign body. Now you are now entering the province of politics. Titingnan mo na ngayon kung why is it politically acceptable for a Filipino to be surrendered to a foreign entity?
Correct.
So, and that's kaya nga hindi ito matatapos ng yung etos nila. It is a historical question. We are now in the province of history. Na correct. Kaya nga why is the United States so adamant in not participating in ICC? Because they believe it is surrendering their sovereignty to the ICC. Kaya nga 'di ba meron silang Hague Invasion Act. Remember yung Ireland, na-discuss na natin to. Before sila nag-ratify ng ICC, ang ginawa nila, nagkaroon pa sila ng referendum. Why? Because sinabi nila doon, the ICC is an additional layer of justice and could conflict with their constitution. So, kailangan pa nilang amyendahan yung constitution nila. So, ngayon, ikaw naman, willing ka na ay, hindi namin sinurrender. Bakla, you are just a very young nation. You are just a 1946 nation. Hindi ka pa nga fully sovereign dahil meron ka diyang foreign troops. So all your discussion about sovereignty actually isn't swaying anyone. Any actual sovereign nation in the world. You know? Kaya nga hindi ko naniniwala sa mga yan. Because unang-una, gano'n ba kalalim yung pag-intindi nyo ng salitang soberanya? I'm pretty sure ang karamihan dyan, ang karamihan lang dyan na magre-rely lang yan ng definition ng soberanya, yung tradition, yung sasabihin na lang nila, sovereignty is you have absolute emirate within your jurisdiction, etc. Diba? Pero the thing is, even then, if you have an absolute, yun na nga yung problema, diba? If you have an absolute, ang dami dito conflict, no? Tinuruan na nga tayo ng East Timor, ng Timor-Leste. Sila, may sovereignty sila. Bakit naman sila isusuko sa'yo?
Oo.
Basically, bakit naman sila isusuko sa'yo? Kami magdidetermina. I-determine muna ng judicial system namin kung ang pagsuko ba dito kay Teve sa Pilipinas will actually be in consonance with our law. Part ng law nila is you cannot surrender anyone to another state if there is a well-founded risk that the person will be persecuted or harmed. And true enough, na-determine na nila yun with their laws. So,
that's how you assert your sovereignty. That's how you, and I think, sabi ko nga, yun yung mga instances when a nation can assert their sovereignty. Ang problem kasi, lalo na yung mga ibang abogado dito sa Pilipinas na talagang gusto ko talagang sukaan sa mukha. Yung sovereignty po, labas po yun sa usapan ng legal ng legal debates. Sovereignty is a political issue and you assert your sovereignty based on your state policy.
Exactly. Ngayon, kasi nga pag-ewan-ewan kayo. Ganito, sabi nyo hindi pag-surrender ng sovereignty. Actually, you already surrendered it because it didn't go through judicial review. Mas malala ito kasi you are actually handing over your own citizen to a foreign entity. And that makes it a very historical issue. This is the first time that we actually did this. Actually, meron din yung kay Marcos, no, ayaw siyang pauwiin, rendering Marcos Sr. virtually like a stateless person. No? Kasi bakit ayaw mong pauwiin? Bansa niya yan. Alam mo yon na, well, of course, with the blessing of the United States, no? Na, okay, hindi siya pauwiin kasi nga, yun ang kagustuhan ni Cory. And Cory was like their new ally in the bloc. So, the problem with all these lawyers is that they are actually interpreting things outside context. Hindi pa pwede yan. That is actually interpreting situations out of a vacuum. Nasabi mo hindi sinurrender kasi ito law. No, you have to interpret it in its own totality, especially when it comes to the concept of sovereignty, because sovereignty is not a presentist concept. It has a history. You know, it is essentially a political concept. Kaya nga sa sinabi sa, what was that decision? The decision on ICJ on, I believe it was in relation to the status of Western Sahara. Ang sabi nila doon, the issue of what is actually within the jurisdiction of a state is actually a historically contingent concept dependent upon development in international relations. So, hindi siya katulad bakla nang sinabi mo ito na ang batas, ito na yung batas. No, because sovereignty is requires an exercise within and a recognition outside. If you don't if you don't, ang precondition nun is you exercise it first.
Yes, correct. And then what others will do about it, diba?
Yeah, exactly. Bala na kayo. Ano naman yan, it goes by time. Na like for example, the Communist Party of China for a very long time, that the party was not recognized as the legitimate government of China, but eventually after so many years, napunta sa kanila yung international recognition away from the authorities exiled in Taiwan. So it's something like that, no? So yun ang problema sa mga ito na hindi you cannot interpret these things as if you are just in a low classroom. Na para ka lang nag-checklist, no? Nag-checklist, no? Ngayon, dito sa usapin ng jurisdiction, sino ba within the political system that was given power in order to evaluate jurisdictional issue? It is the Supreme Court. Doon natin binigay yung sovereignty natin, no? Again, you have to interpret sovereignty in a political manner. So, sovereignty emanates from the people, and then the people actually handed over their sovereign will to three branches of government. One is an executive, the other is a legislative, and then the other is the judiciary. So, dito sa issue na ito ng kay PRRD, this is a concerns jurisdictional issue. So, kung kayong taong bayan, pinaubayan ninyo sa judiciary ang pagdetermina ng mga jurisdictional issue, kasi hindi yung ginampanan ng judiciary dahil itong executive ay talagang nagpaapura, natanggalin dito si PRRD sa Pilipinas, dalhin siya sa DAIG, hindi na madesisyonan ng jurisdictional issue at ganito. So what happens? It's a violation of sovereignty. Because the people, the sovereign will of the people, was not actually fulfilled. The sovereign will of the people, according to our system, is divided into three. One is in the branch of executive, legislative, and judiciary. At alam the judiciary will have to determine jurisdictional issue. Na ikaw ang Pilipino, kaya papa-exile ka, dadalhin ka sa ibang bansa, ganyan. They have to decide. It's not the executive that will have to decide that, because that is not where the sovereign will of the people granted the power to decide jurisdictional issue.
True, and it's becoming clear. It is becoming clear. In as much as they wanted to hide that in this case the executive, in as much as the executive branch of government wanted to hide that they were left no choice but to comply with the Interpol request, ganyan, na-unravel na the president really surrendered PRRD to the international court.
Alam mo, pinagbumuka lang natin tanga yung mga sarili natin internationally. Sa isang bagay na wala tayong may sovereignty tayo. Like for example, in an EEZ. Under international law, you don't have sovereignty there. Tapos ngayon dito naman, na dapat nag-exercise ka ng sovereignty, you're not exercising it. Gumagawa ka ng mga nagpapanusot-usot ka ng kung anik-anik. Kaya nga, baka naman hindi Timor-Leste ang may immature na.
Oo. Actually, dapat criminal yung sobrang tanga eh, no? Yung pagka may hawak ang government position, tapos yung ganito ka mag-decide, dapat may meron yung parang mechanism na, explain nyo to ng mabuti, tapos pag hindi nyo to ma-explain, di ba, so, extreme kasi ng ganitong situation eh, like, hindi lang, yung ganyang klaseng position ng government, it doesn't happen dun sa exercise ng sovereignty eh. It also happens with the budget. Si Claire Castro, pag nagsasalita siya, sinasabi niya na, kasi syempre hindi naman po pwedeng pakialaman ng Pangulo ang ineme dahil this is a separate there is a separation of power between the legislature and the executive. Yung ganun, giving impression to the people that the president has ultimately no say on how the legislature is going to process the budget. Okay? Which is wrong. Hindi po ultimately bystander lang ang Office of the President sa pag-deliberate ng budget. Why? Actually, ang executive department. Kapag kunwari, nagde-deliberate ng budget ang House of Representatives, and there is a huge discrepancy between their prepared national expenditure program and the ones that the legislative department is doing, dapat yun na executive, hoy, bakit ganyan yan? Bakit tinapiasan yun ng ganyan yan? Marami kaming hindi magagawa. If sinasabi ni Claire Castro that, this is separate kasi wala naman talaga magagawa, we just have to wait for it and they are really making the public dumb. Hindi po ganun ang pamamalakad sa gobyerno na, hindi kasi, maghintay lang kami dito ano lang kami meron kasi separation of power, ganyan. Yung mga moment na dapat naiintindihan nila ang separations of power, hindi nila ginagawa. Like for example, when the House of Representatives is acting on ayuda distribution, di man trabaho ng pero hinahayaan ng executive, doon dapat ina-assert mo yung separation of powers. Pagkatapos itong tas hindi mo ina-assert. Pagkatapos itong pagdating sa budget, hindi mo naman ine-encroach yung legislative power ng legislative kapag kunwari nagtatanong ka or nakikiisa ka doon sa nagpa-participate ka doon sa deliberation, because ultimately you're not the ones going to decide. But you will argue before the legislature who will ultimately make the decision. You are an interested party doon. Kasi executive ka, ikaw mag-i-implement nun eh. Tapos ito naman si Claire Castro, ginagawa tayong tanga at sasabihin na, no, hindi mo kasi pwedeng makialam ang presidente. Of course you can. Kung sinasabi mo na hindi dapat nakikialaman ng executive, then why did you create a presidential liaison officer, legislative liaison officers? Then that should have been unconstitutional. But no, every administration, every government, a legislative liaison officer is actually created in order to participate sa mga important deliberations sa legislature. So, Diyos ko po, Claire, please. Diyos ko po naman. Yung mga pinag-aaralan po natin, sana ginagamit natin? Diba? Sobrang nakakaloka talaga. And yun yung yung ganung klaseng attitude. It extends to well, at least sa aspect na yun, consistent yung BBM-led administration na yung mga dapat na ina-exercise nila yung sovereignty at ina-assert yung sovereignty, hindi nila ina-assert. Yung mga situation na dapat ina-assert nila separation of power, hindi na ginagawa. Pagkatapos yung mga time na dapat pabaya. Ganun lang, nakakadiri. Ayun. Anyway, ang tawag dito, nabalitaan mo yung sa Qatar? Sas?
Oo.
Alam mo ba na
ano na naman sa buhay yan?
And this is this is very interesting. Kasi, may mga kwento kasi na lumalabas ngayon. As we speak, meron talagang mga tao na nakadetain. Okay? May mga tao talagang nakadetain. And ang very questionable dito is that, ang nag-break ng balita is the Philippine Embassy in Qatar na merong mga nahuling Pilipino. Okay? Meron akong video nung gathering ng mga Pilipino doon sa kung saan sinabi nila na nagkahulihan, which I'm going to show later on. I mean, after all the things are said and done. And sa akin nakakasukat tong situation na to dahil the Philippine Embassy in Qatar is the one to break the news na merong mga nahuling Pilipino sa Qatar. And what they are saying is that because yung mga ng rally, okay, which is not true. Dahil hindi talaga rally yung gathering na yon. And meron akong mga nare-receive na testimony na nagsasabi na yung mga pinaghuhuli doon, ang mga pinagkukuha ay yung mga naka-t-shirt ng green na supportive kay PRRD. And I think the Philippine Embassy should disclose kung sino ang nag-tip sa Qatari government na paghuhulihin yung mga Pilipino doon. Kasi, yung mga Pilipino doon, nagtataka rin sila.
I think, ang nangyari dyan, may mga anti-Duterte na alam nila kung sino mga walang papel.
Pero I thought, merong yung mga pinaguhuli, wala raw papel eh. Pero merong dalawang nahuli na merong papel. At ang kasalanan lang nila, naka-t-shirt silang green.
Paano yan? Baka nga sinabihan sila na itong mga naka-t-shirt na green mag-organize ng rally. Pwedeng ganon. But,
yes.
Actually, this is already the government going against its own people in another country.
Yes, exactly. Papunta ako dyan eh.
So, na madam? Diba? This is already enemy to all, including to your own citizens. BFF of, sino bang BFF natin? Si US, charot.
BFF to the US, enemy of everyone, including its own citizen. O, diba? Ganon. So ngayon, there is a very strong murmur, okay? There is a very strong murmur. Teka lang, sorry. Teka lang Ayan, okay. So para malinaw ako. There is a very strong murmur na ang nagtip doon sa hulihan sa beach na ito is the Philippine Embassy itself. Kasi nagtataka nga yung mga Filipino doon na bakit Philippine Embassy yung nag-break ng news? Na pagkatapos nung binreak yung news, parang pinapalabas na 28 nangyari yung hulihan. Yung hulihan hindi naman daw nangyari ng 28 but on the 27th. So mukhang there is an intention to make it look like that it is a rally. It is a political rally kasi ginawa ng 28 when in fact 27 yun kasi lang siya family outing lang siya Family outing lang siya. At meron akong video noon. Meron akong video ng family outing na yun. Bex family outing talaga. Family outing talaga siya. Tapos it is in a private beach pa nga daw. Ayun. So ngayon, ang tanong, bakit yung Philippine Embassy sa Qatar, first question is why is that na sila yung unang nag-break ng balita? And why did they misinform the public na yung hulihan ay nangyari ng 28 when in fact the hulihan happened in 27th? Ano yung intention? Ano yung intention doon? So, pagkatapos, bakit ang mga pinaghuhuli lang doon ay yung mga t-shirt yung mga naka-t-shirt ng green? So, ibig sabihin, there is an instruction from someone o na, hindi eto meron ganito dyan, tapos sa paghuhulihin nyo yung mga ganun. Ay, kasi ang dami raw nila doon tapos kinuha lang daw. I mean, if it is an illegal, if it is an illegal gathering, rally, hindi ba dapat lahat sila kinuha? Ba't kinuha lang yung mga naka-t-shirt na green? Ayun. So yun, I think yun yung mga bagay na dapat sagutin ng Philippine Embassy sa Qatar. And also, another questionable move here is that after i-Qatar government, yung balita na yun, okay? After i-break ng Qatar government yung balita na yun, yung full force na yung communication trolls and whatever na, mga Duterte supporters, tulungan yung mga alam nyo ba, ganito, pati yung mga pati yung mga penalty, at kung magkano yung mga dapat bayaran ng mga Pilipino doon sa ineme, ganyan. Well, I spoke to a relative, at ang sinasabi nila, up until now, wala silang kaso. And I spoke to
baka naman kasi hinuli for questioning lang.
Bakit ni-report ng Philippine Embassy nga that they were caught because of due to illegal gatherings, illegal assembly?
Kailangan lang ng etyosan. Alam mo, kailangan lang ng etyosan.
Oo, ang sinasabi ng mga relative, hinuli sila for questioning lang. Kaya nagtataka sila, bakit ang kwento dito sa Pilipinas ay hinuli sila for illegal assembly? At ide-deport na raw sila.
Etyosera.
Ayun. Ayun, wala namang...
Ako naman, ano pa ba ang... girl, we live in polvoronic time. So, alam mo yun, na parang, iba na ang batas? Iba na ang iba na ang sovereignty, iba na ang, alam mo yun, na tayo, ang masasabi ko na lang talaga, ay mahirap talagang may jodik sa pamilya. Magulo talaga. Ano talaga yan? Guaranteed yan. Kung may jodik sa pamilya, magulo talaga.
True. Ang nakakadiri kasi dito, parang ano ba tong government na to? Why are you running after your, our fellow Filipino abroad? Diba? I mean, kung totoo na sila yung nagtip para magkaroon ng hulihan doon sa private beach na yun. Ganun. Kasi sabi dito na normal lang naman daw talaga na nagkakaroon ng hulihan. Ganyan. I do not know doon sa mga mga OFW dito sa Qatar. Is it common na kung kunwari sa isang private place, nasusugurin kayo doon ng police in order to check for your QID?
Yeah. Normal yan. Lalo na pag malaking gathering.
Ayun.
Kahit naman sa Singapore eh. Pag more than 5?
Nag-check talaga sila.
Oo, nag-check talaga yan. Lalo na kung walang permit na may, 'di ba? That's normal, hindi lang yan sa Qatar. Even in Singapore. Kaya nga sa Singapore, mahirap. Ang daming nag-invite sa akin sa Singapore kaso nga hindi nila alam kung paano nilang paano discussion, ganyan. Kasi nga pag malaking gathering talaga kailangan mo ng permit, kailangan mo ng maraming etos garbanzos, ganyan. So it's I really think na wala lang, gusto lang nilang gumawa ng issue. Itong problema, no?
Nananakot sila ng
Nananakot sila.
OFW. I think that's really the goal. That's really the goal. Nananakot
Yeah,
sila. And yun yung
yeah.
nakakakita. Yun yung
Gusto ko manakot sila ng
nakakakita.
manakot.
Talaga, Philippine government pa yung ano. Ano to? Bakit kayo Bakit kayo nagdedesisyon dun sa mga Pilipino na nasa ibang bayan? Tungkol sa ano nila, sa social life nila. Eh meron naman local laws doon, 'di ba? May mga local laws naman doon. Ito sabi ni Arnel, no, it's not. It's not normal po. Marami naman gathering sa beach. Ayun. Kasi beach, parang yung beach area daw na yun. Marami daw laging tao doon. Marami daw laging tao doon. So parang para targetin mo ang isang specific na group na ganun. Eh ibig sabihin, baka may utos. Ayan, ito ang naririnig ko. Ilang beses ko na tong narinig. From a close, from a relative ng isa sa mga nadakip, at saka from the one na nakausap mismo yung pulis. Sabi ng pulis dito, Miss Joey, sa embassy ang tumawag sa mga pulis. Yun. Kaya nga dapat, yung Philippine Embassy sa Qatar, they have to explain, they have to tell us, sino ang tip sa mga pulis. Ayun. Hindi yan i-check kung walang nag-tip. Ayun. Normal lang mag-check. Beside, hindi naman sila bastos mag-check. Typical lang, nangungumusta lang sila. Estimated 150 katao, pero 17 to 20 lang ang hinuli. Yun nga, naka-green lang daw eh. Yung mga naka-Duterte t-shirt lang daw eh. Ganun.
Kung illegal assembly or whatever, ang dami-daming nag-attend ng Emirate, yun lang yung hinuli. Ano yun?
Hindi ka siya. Kaya absolutely, it's not illegal assembly. Ang problem is why the Philippine Embassy reported it as an illegal assembly. Ganon. Talagang papahiyain pa yung mga Pilipino sa Qatar. Ayun lang, nakakasawa. Ayun. Hindi naman ako eto nga, teka, meron pa akong isa. Nakita mo yung police request sa Bulacan? Yung, teka. Yung nangangalap ng ebidensya for EJK. Eto. Sulat sa provincial director ng sa Malolos, Bulacan. Ayun. This is reference to the official investigation of being conducted by this office on the cases of extrajudicial killings that happened in our jurisdiction, which were allegedly perpetrated by the members of PNP. Ayun. We are respectfully requesting assistance from your office to furnish us copies of the police and SOCO reports. Transmit a letter. Ay, bakit hindi lumalabas? Sorry. Bakit hindi lumalabas? Anya? Nagkaganto to. Teka lang Ayun, okay, ayun. Bakit sila biglang nangangalap ng EJK Bakit sila nag-i-investigate bigla sa EJK? Hindi ba dapat ngayon tapos na hindi na kayo nag-i-investigate tungkol sa EJK? Or EJK to under BBM? EJK to under BBM administration? Ganon? Nakakaloka We are respectfully requesting assistance from your office to furnish us copies of the police and SOCO reports, transmit a letter to the prosecutor's office and other documents. List of cases we are requesting. March 17, 2025. Si PRRD na inaresto March 11. And hindi ka naman nagkakaso dito sa Pilipinas ng EJK. Tapos prosecutor's office, kinambular, ganyan. Hindi ka nagkakaso dito sa Pilipinas ng EJK. Ang kinakaso mo dito, murder. So ngayon, pag makikicommunicate yung mga police, dapat sa communication nila, they're looking for evidence and documents pertaining to murder, homicide, ganyan, SOCO report, ganyan. But for this specific communication, EJK talaga. So what is the meaning of this? What is the meaning of this? So kita talaga na I don't think meron pa tayong pag-uusapan or pag-aawayan tungkol dun sa katraydoran ng BBM administration sa kay PRRD and to our laws and to our sovereignty. Grabe yung grabe yung magnitude ng katraydoran eh. Hindi lang si PRRD yung tinatraydor dito eh. Hindi lang si PRRD yung tinatraydor dito. This is on top of the letter of E.S. Bersamin na tinatanggihan na yung inquiry sa arrest ni PRRD noong March 11 on the grounds of executive privilege and sub judice rule. Hindi ko to magets kasi the BBM administration, you were so confident that you did not do anything. 'Di ba? You were so confident na wala kayong nilabag na batas, na legal at ano ang inyong mga pinagagagawa sa pag-aresto kay PRRD. And then, in that hearing sa Senate, na kung saan na-unravel, na wala pala kayong red notice, wala palang actionable demand yung Interpol sa inyo na mang-aresto. But all the while, you were saying na nag-respond lang kayo sa request ng Interpol, which is only a diffusion notice. And that you weren't able to sufficiently provide any proof that you actually respected the constitutional rights of PRRD. At that time, you were so sure na wala kayong nilalabag na batas. Pagkatapos nung nabisto kayo at yung mga bunganga ninyo ay ipinahamak na kayong lahat, biglang executive privilege na. 'Di ba? And then, biglang naalala ni Boy Remulla ang concept ng sub judice rule. Na hindi nyo maalala kahit isang araw, kahit isang minuto, nung time na nung hearing ng House of Representative, si Inday Sara, dun sa confidential budget niya. Which actually should be part of the executive privilege also, no? Kasi si BBM ang nag-ano nun eh. Si BBM ang nag-approve ng confidential fund ni Inday eh. It could have been invoked. Pero hindi in-invoke. At pagkatapos, hindi nyo rin naalala yung sub judice rule. Yung sabi ko nga, whether you are yellow, pink, or neutral, I don't think this should be acceptable to you. Diba? Hindi to dapat maging acceptable sa inyo. Parang, ano to? Executive privilege by convenience? Ang dami nyo nang nasabi, ang dami nyo nang na-share, tapos biglang ayaw nyo nang matanong. Sabi ni Pandalito, ang tagal kasi mag-decide ng SC kaya nagkakagulo tayo, ganyan sabi niya, which is true. And sa totoo lang, ako feeling ko yung Supreme Court nape-pressure din sila eh. Meron rin nababraso sa kanila eh. Pag nagkabukingan na executive privilege na ang shield, sabi ni Sir RD. Ayun. So ibig sabihin kahit sila Torre, di na sila pwedeng imbestigahan sa Senate. So na gamiting resource speaker ni Aimee niyan.
Alam mo, ang gagawin nandiyan ni PBBM, kung may kasalanan naman dyan si Torre, bibigyan niya ng clemency or pardon. Di ba yung ginawa ni Biden? Yung bago siya bumaba bilang presidente, ang ginawa niya, binigyan niya ng pardon yung anak niya, tapos yung mga hindi pa nakakasuhan, binigyan niya ng, ayun na, meron na siya pagkukopyahan. Kaya yan, kahit yung mga kamag-anak niya, gagawin niya yun. Paano mo ba, kailan mo ba maka-question? Hindi mo naman pwedeng questionin di ba yung pinoproblema nila ngayon kay Biden?
Oo, kasi discretionary yung yung privilege na yun, discretionary eh.
Kaya yun yung nakakaloka. So, kaya kung ano yung gawin nila kasalanan, I'm pretty sure hindi sila kung dadaanin sa legal ha, charot.
Ayun. So sabi dito, may ano kasi parang, di ba, lumabas yung sulat ni E.S. Bersamin. Tapos ngayon, may mga nagtatanong na, hindi, dapat si Senator Aimee, ano niya yan, ipasampi na niya, pa-contempt niya, and things like that, ganyan-ganyan. I think, medyo limitado dun hindi kaya ng powers ng senador yun. Kasi, meron mga previous cases na nagsasabi na pagka na-invoke yun yung understanding ko, kaya nga sabi ko dapat, interesting to na pagka na-invoke kasi yung executive privilege, yung nangyari kay NEDA Secretary Romulo Neri, na-issuehan siya ng subpoena, na show cause, at saka na-cite siya in contempt. Show cause, and na-cite siya ng Senate in contempt doon sa kanilang order na hindi at umattend siya ng Senate hearing na hindi niya ina-attendan. Ganon. Sabi ng Supreme Court, walang bisa yung contempt order ng Senate. Kasi valid yung justification na hindi pagpunta ni Romulo Neri. Dahil nga, hindi rin siya pwedeng magsalita about Doon sa mga itatanong daw. Ganon. Sa Congress lang mahilig mag-contempt, sabi ni Patricia Castañeda. Pero kasi yung coverage ng decision na yun, show ko sa tsaka contempt. Ayun. Ayun. Ano yun, Sas?
Pero bakit sa Vice President walang executive privilege? Hindi ba pwede ang Vice President mag-invoke ng executive privilege?
Supposedly nga. Kagin yung sinasabi ni Inday na confidential siya. So actually, executive privilege yun. Kasi confidential nga yung confidential fund. Kasi hindi naman sinasabi ni, hindi naman siya binabaka pa ni BBM. I think the invocation that it is an executive privilege has to come from the president. Hindi ba ganun? Para dapat from the presidente. Ayun. Sabi ni Wina, hi sa Joey, ano tong post ni Dare to Us? Sabi ni Cheese, President Duterte's ICC arrest did not breach Philippine sovereignty. Hindi yan nga yung mga yan nga yung stand ng mga tao na hindi naniniwala na walang sovereignty issue. Ano bang sinasabi ni...
Hindi pa tapos yan, Cheese. Ang pag-sovereignty ang usapan, hindi yan natatapos sa pag sinabi mo na walang breach ng sovereignty issue. Because sovereignty is a politically and historically laden concept. Di ba?
It is never a legal question.
It's not a purely legal question. It's not a purely legal question. Hindi ba? Halimbawa, pwede mong sabihin na hanggang ngayon, will you recognize the United States had sovereignty over us when it colonized us? We consider it's colonialization. Kaya nga nagkaroon the colonization movement because we don't recognize that they have sovereignty over us. Pero kung pagbabasihan mo lang yung international law during that time, the United States had sovereignty. Nagets ninyo? So, madugong usapan yan. Alam mo ba sa Leiden, ang sovereignty is isang subject sa amin yan. Hirap pinag-uusapan namin sovereignty. Ganun kadugo. Can you imagine pag-uusapan mo lang buong subject sovereignty?
Ayun. So,